Casey lived a fast-paced life in the city, never really wanting to pay too much attention to what was happening in the world around her. She was a 20-something who woke up far too early in the morning to function without gripping her black coffee and strolling blindly through her mind-numbing 9-to-5 corporate job that drained her of her energy. The office was a hive in the sense that it always expected so much of her, and there was always work to be done. It never stopped. She didn't enjoy the world around her, and she certainly wasn't conscientious of how she treated it. The world had to wait for her to catch up. She couldn't take time to smell the roses, let alone even acknowledge that they were there. The hive was usually a busy place, with all members of the hierarchical system maintaining to keep their jobs and please the boss, or the queen bee, who had the liberty to fire them at a moment's notice. Casey never appreciated its organized, systematic chaos. To most people, the hive was an intimidating place. The people were awful, scary, and sometimes aggressive, like bees. It seemed like the only thing anyone cared about in the hive was making honey, and the only way they could survive was if they made honey, and they'd do anything to reach that goal. They would make their honey in the most efficient way. In order to keep their jobs at the hive, they had to make their production quota. Most of them would only last a month or two in the hive, and that's only if they could keep up. Casey didn't particularly like working in the hive, but she needs the honey. She hates the fact that the people are mean, and they seem narrow-minded. They were easily upset and quick to sting you if you crossed them. Casey tried to stay clear of the people she called the bees. She also didn't like how there was a hierarchy in the hive, with the queen being on top and the janitors on the bottom. Casey called them mortuary bees because they cleaned up after the bees that didn't quite make the cut. The scat bees and the nurse bees were above the mortuary bees, and then there were the worker bees, which is where Casey fell. What bothered Casey the most was that within the hive there was even a visual representation of this hierarchy. The hive has two major levels, with a transitional space between them that serves as the representational divide. The honey is kept at the top because it's the most important piece of the operation. She wondered if there would ever come a day where she enjoyed being a part of the hive. She had been a worker bee all this time, and although she did it well, it was clear that she didn't like her job. She returned to the hive the next day, and as she entered and walked to her desk to start working towards that honey quota, she noticed that the hive was under unusual stress. She heard whispers of the hive failing and everyone losing their jobs. She wondered why. Then Casey got a visitor at her desk who told her that the queen was departing for retirement. The position for queen bee, which is the essence of the hive, was open, and Casey was given the opportunity to fill it. Casey never knew that she was born a queen bee. She had always thought that she was just going to be a worker bee for her entire life. Casey did not know that the hive had been secretly training her for this since the day she started working there. She was then escorted up the levels of the hive, past the janitors, past the makerspace where the rest of the worker bees were, and up to the operational level, where she was educated on the process and purpose of the hive. It was there, on the highest most level of the hive, training for the position of head executive, also known as queen bee, that Casey had an epiphany. Everything Casey had known about the hive was wrong, and every opinion she ever had about the hive was misinformed. Casey had lived her life in ignorance, blind from the truth, and unaware of all of this life-altering information. She learned about the importance of the hive and everyone in it, and through this, Casey had a shift in perspective. As a human, Casey has realized that the earth is our hive. She no longer went about her day careless about what was happening in the world around her. She woke up in the morning excited to return to the hive for another day of making honey. She realized that by making honey, the bees are making the world a better place and fulfilling their purpose. Most of all, she grew a newfound appreciation for the rest of the people in the hive that she was now in charge of. These people not only worked for Casey, but they lived for Casey. She realized that the bees aren't mean or aggressive. They're actually intelligent, diligent, and caring. The work they are doing is making a difference, and that's something Casey never saw before. As humans, the earth is our hive, and Casey realizes now that, like bees, we should make more of an effort to take care of it.